Welcome to Intelligent Automation Radio, the number one podcast for IT executives seeking insights on the impact and opportunities for innovation that automation is delivering to businesses around the world. Featuring thought leaders in AI, machine learning, orchestration, security automation, and the future of work. And now, on with the show. Welcome, everyone. My name is Guy Nadivi, and I'm the host of Intelligent Automation Radio. Our guest on today's episode is Tomasz Jamroz, VP Consulting and Head of Data Analytics and Artificial Intelligence at CGI, one of the largest IT and business consulting services firms in the world. Tomasz is a thought leader in emerging technology strategy and execution, and he has a specialized focus in advanced analytics, artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and big data platforms. So with a resume like that, and being based out of Canada, we wanted to get Tomasz on the show to share some insights with us on what he sees happening in the world of digital transformation from his vantage point north of the border. Tomasz, welcome to Intelligent Automation Radio.
Guy, thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Tomasz, please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up in a senior position involved with AI at one of the world's biggest consulting firms.
Sure. Maybe where I should start is, and that will help the audience understand the funny accent they hear. I'm Eastern European. I actually grew up in Poland, and I had a chance to go through a significant transformation very early as a teenager when Poland moved from being a communist country to become a free market and democracy republic. And that was something that I think experiencing that transformation so early kind of created that I had a special relation with change. I always see a very positive aspect of any change that is occurring around me, and this is something that really helped me to move and progress in my career. By education, I'm a neurobehavioral psychologist. One could say that's not a typical AI education or a background that you would expect for somebody in my position, but for me, neurobehavioral psychology was a way to discover and learn and build methodology that kind of helped me progress. And I think it's very important when you look at the education. It's not really what you're learning, but what you are able to derive from the journey. I really like neurobehavioral psychology, but I haven't had 100% conviction towards the discipline. And I share that with my profs when I was writing my undergraduate thesis, and they advised me that, Tomasz, you're this very logical approach, and we currently building this interdisciplinary team with computer science department, where your knowledge about cognitive psychology and neuroscience would be a perfect pair. And that was for me the first time to become a part of such a diversified team and kind of learn how I can utilize something that I have learned in a particular domain and apply it to something totally different. And I got actually pretty excited about computer science to the extent that I convinced the Dean of Computer Science to enroll me in the fourth year computer science courses without having a proper prerequisite and background. I almost failed, but it was a very valuable lesson. And very quickly, I kind of realized that neurobehavioral psychology is not really what I want to be doing. What I want to be doing is I want to be helping organization, and I want to help organization transform or improve them. I became the system architect. I architected custom solutions for HR and IT departments. But I kind of realized that as I was doing it, that I was still missing something. And I realized that what I'm missing was the knowledge about business. And I decided to do MBA. Throughout my MBA, I was absolutely fascinated by the concept of ERP, looking how you can take any organization and you can transform it and fit it into the ERP, like Oracle or SAP or any other, and run it successfully was something that really seemed very interesting and as a great opportunity for me to go into and learn more. And I became SAP consultant. Very early in my SAP consultant stage of my life, I discovered a niche. And the niche was something that brought me closer to, we can say, automation. I realized that regardless organization you work with, there is a multiple departments that translate into multiple different modules within ERP. However, there is one denominator that is the same. And the denominator was that any of those processes, when it failed, it created an exception. And that exception prevented from a system automatically completing process from A to Z. And I decided, could I collect all those exceptions? Could I find any anomalies in those exceptions and identify that the exceptions are exception only because the system thinks that they are. But in reality, if we slightly modified a few parameters, they're not exceptions anymore. And as such, I was able to create a very interesting niche. I was very quickly able and utilizing a lot of data input. I was able to help organizations decrease the volume of exceptions by 20 to 30%. And when you think about it, all those exceptions, when they create in the system, at the end, they're sent to the back office, that there is a number of people that they need to resolve them. The fact that you were able, applying those simple analytical methods to resolve such a significant portion was something that really made me fascinated about unlimited opportunities that there are when you really utilize the data and you find the trends and patterns to improve. At the same time, I was actually, at this stage of my career, I was part of Accenture Consulting. And Accenture decided at the time, it was around 2014, pivot to the new digital economy. There is actually a great book written by Omar Abash, who was Chief Strategy Officer and architect behind that transformation. Anybody who is interested of how to move and transform organization, you will find a lot of interesting information there. And as Accenture decided to pivot, I felt the need, and maybe that's because it goes back to my appraisal that I've seen transformation. I've seen that there's a good things that coming out of transformation. I decided to do the same. And I discovered human-centric design. I spent a lot of time learning and getting involved in automated testing, in robotic process automation, in advanced analytics. But it wasn't until I joined my first data science team. And I remember working my first data science team, and we were building this segmentation for the customer, looking at their clients. And I engaged in that discussion with my team, and I started asking questions about centroids and distance between those centroids when we identify different clusters. And I remember the team looking at me and asking, Tomasz, you told us you don't know anything about machine learning. And I said, that's true, I don't, but for me, this is statistics. And it's a very funny story because I have this vivid memory when I was actually studying, and I remember the advanced statistical methods course. And taking that class and studying k-means, which is what you usually use for clustering or segmentation. And I was wondering, why am I doing it, and when and where will I ever need it? Little that I've known, this was something that helped me establish a respect with my data science team. And then my career really kind of, I would say, progressed very quickly. I was pretty early, it was pretty early stage of digitalization. I had a very good background, and it enabled me to jump on those opportunities, and I got engaged in multiple very interesting initiatives in the big data platform space, in cognitive aspect, and I was working on more and more complex projects, and I really liked it. And by total surprise, I was contacted and asked to come and interview by CGI. And I was happy at the place I was at the time. Out of respect of CGI, it's a great organization, I decided to take that interview. And I remember I felt that that interview didn't go well, because when I came to the interview, I've been proposed a particular role, and I politely declined, and I kind of shared what I would like to do, or what I see the challenges that exist within the market are, and how I could help any organization resolving those. And I remember leaving that interview, I was like, well, good that I have a job, because I don't think I'm going to have any other interview anytime soon. But to my surprise, I've been contacted back, and I had a chance to meet another person, and we dive deeper and discuss about what is my vision. And I found it very interesting. I found it quite fascinating that I am now having discussion, even though I kind of rejected what was offered to me. And the organization did not take it defensively. Quite opposite, they decided they would like to understand better the idea that I had. And we had a number of discussions that actually led to and ended with a job offer that was put in front of me. And I remember when that happened, I found myself puzzled, because I didn't. I wanted to do it, but I was kind of afraid. And it was the moment when I realized that I actually became comfortable with what I was doing so far. And this opportunity is a new challenge. And the moment I realized I had to do the same when I'm always advising to my clients that stagnation kills innovation. And if you have an opportunity that scares you, it's something that usually is good for you. And I did. I'm very happy that I did. CGI is a big multinational organization, but at the same time, its core is an organization that allows a lot of entrepreneurship. Probably it's the fact that our founder started the organization from a team of 2 to what it is today, almost 80,000 consultants. And it kind of happened over a short period of time. And I'm very happy because it allowed me to join the organization that I can address the challenges that are there, and I can have a full support to do it. And pretty much that's my story.
It really sounds like your whole life has led to a career focused on transformation. So I'm curious, Tomasz, if you can talk about some of the more interesting use cases you've been involved with at CGI and the quantified impact that digital transformation had on the organizations you worked with.
Absolutely. I kind of think that I would like to share 3 different examples. The one example I would like to share is coming from the manufacturing industry, which I think has a great potential for digitalization. Another is actually applying a particular type of a technology across different industries. And my last example would be from the utilities But it's an interesting example because the example that comes, and it's something that was fully built by one of our clients, and I was really fascinated when I learned about it. But let me start with the first example. So everybody sees digitalization, and when we look at the back and front office, there is a no-brainer that's where the great opportunities for automation are. I would encourage everybody to look in any industry that is asset heavy, because that's where especially advanced analytics can be very helpful. One of the examples that I would like to share with you today is Uddeholm. Uddeholm is a producer of high alloyed tool steel. They're based in Sweden, and they came to CGI with a very particular challenge. They wanted to decrease number of cracks in the steel, and they identified that the steel cracks are really affecting their profitability. And when we engaged with them, it was very interesting because very quickly we realized that they actually have a lot of data points that they collected around their manufacturing process. And what they were missing was a proper platform that would allow ingestion and analysis of the information that they already had in different forms. So when we started working with them, we first concentrated on establishing that foundation, utilizing IoT devices and collecting all the information, including the historical data that they had, to build this platform. Once we collected all the information, we started to simulate and run different models and develop algorithms that allow us to identify exactly when and where the cracks occur. Once we were able to simulate it, we were able to identify where within the process are the key elements that you need to modify, look for, or change in order to prevent those cracks. As the outcome of that model, we were able to predict with 70% accuracy when the cracks will occur. And as such, we were able to decrease the waste that otherwise would be unprevented. And this is an example that we often see in the manufacturing industry, in pharmaceuticals. This is something where you can really utilize the vast amount of data that a lot of organization is collecting today, and use it to build predictive analytics, digital twins, and so on. Another example that I find it's very interesting is the concept of a machine vision. Machine vision and real-time analytics, it's something that really allows us to augment and enhance a lot of areas that we are already operating in. So I'm going to give you an example of retail. We work with one of the consumer electronic giants, and they had a very successful targeted marketing campaign. And it shouldn't be a surprise at marketing using some advanced analytics for a long period of time. But what we decided to do is, could we augment the customer experience within the store with real-time analytics and in particular with machine vision? And what we kind of very quickly realized that when we were combining information that coming with POS, and we were enhancing it with the information of how many customers actually interacted with a new product that is on the shelf, what was their sentiment, and what was the nature of their interaction, we were able to enhance and increase the sales using this targeted advertising, now enhancing with machine vision by 120%. And the concept of machine vision, it's something that is really taking off. We work with a number of cities to develop smart cities. Cities receive a lot of CCTV feeds. There is a lot of monitoring in a lot of cities around the globe. And machine vision is something that can help increase the safety of the citizens. We developed the models that we were able to identify what are the accidents and where they occurring, and what is the best way for emergency crews to be dispatched to it. We use the machine vision in another industry, in renewable energy. One of the challenges with the wind turbines is that the maintenance is a critical aspect. And normally you have to dispatch your workforce to go and check regularly the equipment. And those are big constructions, and there's safety hazards and so on. We're able to utilize drones and machine vision to collect the information to identify where really the problems are. And as opposed to dispatching people just to go and check the structures and the wind turbines, we were able to dispatch them exactly to where the problem is and advising them what they need to take in order to resolve it, because we were able to provide some insights about the nature of the challenge. And this is something that we see quite a bit. The last example I would like to bring is actually coming from one of our clients. So Hydro-Quebec, it's one of biggest renewable energy power generators in the world. They based in Montreal, and they have their own research institute. And the research institute has developed a fault location algorithm, and using advanced data analytics, they were able to detect and diagnose both permanent and momentary faults. And those faults are hard to identify. Those are network issues. And those network issues are actually the root cause behind many outages and ultimately customer complaints. And what we kind of engage with Hydro-Quebec is we actually realize it's such a great solution that we would like to help them to commercialize it. And I think this is really what speaks volume about the state of the industry. I think it's really emerging domain. You normally are not surprised to see companies like CGI, a technology powerhouse that is able to come and build an AI-driven solution. But I'm very happy to see that our clients on their own are capable and they're reaching certain level of maturity to build solutions utilizing advanced algorithmic capabilities themselves.
Tomasz, listening to you talking about all those different use cases, I'm curious, it's been said that the failure rate for digital transformation projects can be as high as 84%. What is one thing you think organizations undergoing digital transformation must do to ensure that they're part of the 16% that succeed?
Of course. This is actually a very interesting question. And this is something that at CGI, we actually perform our own study. And what we do is we have something called Voice of the Customers. And through the Voice of the Customers, we interview the executives around the globe. It's over 1,500 executives from different industries, different countries, where we're trying to understand what are the challenges. And one of the questions that we ask is, what are the challenges that you experience and identify as your top challenges in the area of digital transformation. And what we actually see that 83% of people we interview, they share with us that culture change and change management is a key aspect of a transformation. And I think this is something that it's very important. Addressing the people in the digital transformation should be a key. I often see that when we talk about the digital transformation, there is a lot of emphasis that is put on the word digital, where in reality, we should really concentrate on the transformation. How do we transform the people? How do we transform the process? How do we transform the organization? Making something digital is fairly simple. You can take a piece of paper with text, put it on the scanner, and you have a digital format of the sheet. That making people to adopt and open themselves to embrace transformation is much more significant and much more challenging. The second thing, and this is like 70% based on our research, is that technology, and especially legacy technology. A lot of organizations still today, they're dealing with leftovers of mainframe computings and all the other custom solutions that allow them to grow and allow them to be where they are today. However, the lifespan for those technologies is really getting to the abrupt end. And a lot of organizations realize that when they really want to go and fully embrace the digital, they have a challenges that their technology is not capable of taking them. On the positive note, when you look at those two major factors, which are culture and the legacy, what we see asking the same questions and studying that year after year, that you see an improvement. More organizations realize that the culture change and change management is a key in the digital transformation, as well as more and more organizations address the challenges of having legacy systems. And I think this is something that it's incredibly important for any organization to address if they really want to be successful.
Listening to you discuss the many different technologies and industries that you work with at CGI, I'd love to hear what you think are going to be some of the biggest disruptions that we'll see in 3, 5, or even 10 years from now with respect to automation, AI, and other digitally transforming technologies.
Okay, well, $1 million question. I wish I had the answer that I can be 100% certain and invest in stock accordingly. But let me try to address it looking at what happened up to now and how do I foresee the change occurring in the nearest future. So when I look at the first 3 years, I think that the greatest adoption or the biggest change will come from the adoption of a technologies already available to us. I feel that the maturity of a technology that is surrounding us is greater than our adoption. And when you think about it, the concept of a PC that moved the computer from a research center in universities close to us, with mobile, with augmented, with wearables, we really have ability to utilize the technology very close, in very close proximity to where we are. And we also created a lot of data, which I don't fully see that we utilizing today. When you think about it, we have creating over 40 zettabytes of data, which actually translates into we created more bytes of information that there are stars in observable universe. So we have all the vast majority of information available to us. We have the tools how we can access it. The limitations that I still see that we have today, and I don't think they're going to be resolved in the next 3 years. I think it's more 5 or maybe we need the full decade, is that our computing power. We've made amazing progress. However, we reaching the point that I foresee that the biggest change will come from some kind of a new computing power that is introduced. It could be quantum computing. The concept of a quantum bits, they would exponentially increase our computing capability. One of the great examples when you think about the power of quantum computing is that encryption packets that we use today, if we were to attack them with a brute force, it will take us 200 years to crack. If we applied quantum computing to the same challenge, it will take us a month. And I think that kind of illustrates what is the art of the possible that can happen. And I think that is what really is required to enter something what we call general AI, to enable artificial intelligence to have these heuristic capabilities of inheriting the information and becoming more general or more true intelligence. And the last thing that I think is very interesting is, and I'm also curious how that field progresses, is the edge computing, or maybe even distributed edge computing. I think that at the moment that we're going to get, in moment in time, when we're going to get to the point that we need to make a critical life or death decisions, and milliseconds really play the role. I think that it's a potential of edge computing to really take off and become a significant force, having an impact on the transformation and the future of technologies.
Interesting. Tomasz, for the CIOs, CTOs, and other IT executives listening in, what is the one big must-have piece of advice you'd like them to take away from our discussion with regards to engaging in digital transformation?
I think my biggest word of advice is that any IT executives today should think like they are CEO of a technology company. And this is something that I believe it's critical, and the digital transformation is something that really defines be or not to be for any organization. This is something that when I look, and I often discuss with different executives, is my biggest advice is always to be honest with yourself in terms of what is your maturity. At the same time, you need to understand what is the art of the possible. And what you want to make sure is that in no point in time, you allow that gap to really grow, meaning that you have a certain level of technological agility, but by no means you match what is the potential of that technology. Because what this big gap is causing is actually decreasing the barriers to entry for your competition and for other technology companies to go and enter your business. And this is something that for me is critical, that IT executives help drive IT organizations, and they address and they don't look at it through the old paradigm that IT is just a cost center. IT should be a differentiator and the value creator for any organization. And IT executives are actually in the most important elements of that success. So I'm not jealous of the challenge they faced with. They play a very significant role, and it's very important that they become a part of any business strategy discussion, and they also help drive the business.
You raise a good point in that I think it's sometimes lost in the shuffle that with all these digital transformations going on, it's often IT that itself is undergoing the most radical digital transformation of anyone. All right. Looks like that's all the time we have for on this episode of Intelligent Automation Radio. Tomasz, thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your thoughts with us. By the way, I'm a big fan of Canada and especially your national dish, poutine.
Awesome. You should come to Montreal and we can continue the discussion and grab some good poutine.
Sounds good to me. Tomasz Jamroz, Vice President of Consulting and Head of Data, Analytics, and Artificial Intelligence at CGI. Thank you for listening, everyone, and remember, don't hesitate, automate. Thank you so much for listening today. Please subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. We publish new shows regularly, and you won't want to miss one. And please remember to give us a rating. It helps others find the show. Intelligent Automation Radio is sponsored by Ayehu, the leader in intelligent automation solutions for IT and cybersecurity. You can get more information about Ayehu by visiting our website at ayehu.com. That's AYEHU.com. Ayehu, creating the successful path to the self-driving enterprise.